I was 34, freshly divorced, and back in my childhood bedroom in Pine Valley when the phone buzzed on the kitchen counter like an angry hornet. Mom was sorting canned goods in the pantry, humming softly under Derek's latest rule about organized efficiency. Derek Lang, my stepfather of 9 years, stood arguing with his son Marcus in the garage about some truck repair. The screen lit up. Lena Brooks, the attorney I'd quietly consulted weeks earlier. 3 missed calls in a row screamed urgency. I picked it up. Mom's phone. "This is Sophia." "Thank goodness." Lena's voice was clipped.
Urgent.
"Agent Riley Vance from the State Integrity Unit is on the line with me. We need verbal confirmation from your mother on the authorization forms. There's been a major development in the Valley County accounts." My pulse spiked. "She's here." But before I could finish, the phone was ripped from my hand with brutal force. I stumbled back against the counter as Derek loomed over me, his face twisted in fury, knuckles white around the device. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" he snarled. The slap came hard and fast, snapping my head sideways. Pain exploded across my cheek, copper flooding my mouth where my teeth cut the inside. But worse was the realization I'd never ended the call. The speaker was still live. "You don't touch anything in this house without my permission," Derek growled, breath hot on my face. "Not the phone. Not the papers. Nothing. You're barely a guest here. Keep your nose out of my business." Through the ringing in my ears, a calm male voice cut through from the phone. "This is Agent Riley Vance, State Integrity Unit." I heard an altercation. "Is everyone safe? This call is being recorded as part of case file SI 4782. Derek froze, eyes dropping to the glowing speaker icon in horror. His face drained from red to ghostly white. I steadied myself, tasting blood, and spoke clearly into the air. "Yes, I'm here." That was Derek Lang, my stepfather. He just forcibly took the phone from me and struck me across the face. Agent Vance's tone shifted to steel. "Mr. Lang, this is now documented evidence of assault and witness intimidation. Do not touch MS.
Kane again."
Local authorities are being dispatched for a welfare check. Behind Derek, Mom appeared in the doorway, dish towel clutched in trembling hands, face pale as milk. "Derek, did you hit Sophia?" The silence cracked. Derek thrust the phone back at me and stormed toward the door. "This is my house. My rules." But Agent Vance's voice followed him relentlessly. "Do not destroy documents or access accounts. You are under investigation." Mom's voice cracked like a whip I hadn't heard in years. "Get out of my kitchen."
"Now."
Derek spun, staring between us, then at the phone still issuing instructions. Without another word, he slammed out the back door. Moments later, his truck roared down the driveway. Mom rushed to me, fingers gently touching my swelling cheek. "Oh, honey.
"I'm so sorry."
I never thought he'd go this far." Through the speaker, Lena exhaled in relief. "Sophia, that was brave. And lucky. We now have recorded assault on an open line. Agent Vance, can you expedite?" "Already moving." Vance confirmed. "Local PD en route. Bring all your documentation to our field office tomorrow. This is bigger than one family. Your evidence matches patterns in 3 counties." I looked at Mom, who nodded with newfound steel. "We're not staying here tonight." She grabbed her phone and called a locksmith, then my friend Claire for her spare room. The protective order would be filed within the hour. That slap, meant to silence me, had detonated everything. But to understand how we reached that kitchen moment, I need to take you back to the beginning. When I first pulled into Mom's driveway with my divorce boxes still taped shut. Pine Valley sits in the rolling hills of Valley County, A tight-knit community where everyone waves but also watches. Mom had remarried Derek 9 years earlier, after losing my dad to a sudden heart attack. Derek started as the charming contractor who fixed her leaky roof and won her over with promises of stability. By the time I returned at 34, he was a town council member, a treasurer of the community foundation, and owner of Lang Civic Builders with contracts on every major project from the new library expansion to the Veterans Memorial. I'd been a compliance specialist for 6 years at the Valley Children's Health Network, auditing grants and ensuring federal funds reached pediatric clinics without leakage. Spotting irregularities was my job. The moment I crossed Mom's threshold, the air felt wrong, thick, like walking into a room where the oxygen had been slowly replaced. Mom looked smaller than I remembered. Her once vibrant wardrobe reduced to the same 3 blouses rotated weekly. Derek controlled the checkbook, even though her name remained on the accounts. "Budgets are tight with all the community projects I fund," he'd say, handing her grocery lists like work orders. His biological son Marcus, 26, and drifting between gigs, lounged in the finished basement, borrowing Derek's truck freely while Mom apologized for buying a $5 coffee at church. Through thin walls at night, I heard Derek questioning every receipt. $30 for lunch with the auxiliary ladies? Elaine. The church provides coffee. Mom's voice would shrink. It was my turn to treat. The renovations around us, granite counters, new hardwood, magazine-worthy kitchen, stood in stark contrast to Mom's threadbare wardrobe and the way her hands shook when reaching for tap water instead of the bottled kind Derek deemed wasteful for her but fine for Marcus's imported beers. My compliance instincts flared. At work, I just closed a case on duplicate invoicing across departments tracing back to a single vendor. At home, Derek's papers showed overlapping invoices from untraceable subcontractors like Valley Partners LLC and Civic Edge Solutions, modest amounts. Frequent. All authorized by Mom's shaky signature on dates she'd been visiting her sister 2 states away. One morning while Derek was at a site, I asked gently, "Mom, how much did you invest in Derek's business from Dad's insurance and the boutique sale?" She busied herself with dishes. "It's complicated, honey. Derek handles it. He's good with numbers. What's mine is his now." But I'd seen the power of attorney forms, the line of credit against the house, the P.O. box statements. The patterns were identical to the fraud cases I audited daily. I started documenting quietly, photographing invoices at 2 a.m., cross-referencing public county records showing Derek's bids always won with the same ghost subcontractors. Payments recycling back to his personal accounts. Mom's name appeared as guarantor everywhere, but her eyes held confusion when I mentioned specific projects. The tension built slowly, like pressure in a fault line. Derek sensed my watching. "Stay in your lane, Sophia," he sneered one evening over refinancing papers that would pull another $60,000 from the house. "You push papers at a nonprofit. This is real business." I smiled tightly, but inside, the floodgates were opening. Derek thought he controlled the narrative. He had no idea a trained compliance officer had entered his house like a virus in the system. The patterns crystallized over the following weeks. Mom gave me permission to help organize the home office after I commented on the chaos. Derek grudgingly agreed, warning me not to disrupt his system. That system was masterful misdirection, legitimate receipts mixed with phantom invoices from companies existing only on paper. Authorization forms with Mom's forged signatures dated during her out-of-town trips. I photographed everything meticulously, returning documents precisely. Bank statements routed to a P.O. box showed joint accounts drained for civic projects. Construction bonds listed Mom as guarantor. A folder labeled Estate Planning contained recent transfers of her grandmother's heirlooms and Dad's military medals into a trust Derek solely controlled. At work, processing a federal audit, My colleague Claire noticed my distraction. Family trouble? She asked. When I explained the vulnerability of elderly parents to financial exploitation, her face darkened. She'd seen her own aunt lose everything to a similar scam. Document redundantly. Get legal counsel before confrontation. I contacted Lena Brooks, an elder financial abuse specialist, and researched the state integrity unit. The civic partnership fund Derek championed appeared to be his personal slush fund, cycling public money through shell companies while Mom unknowingly signed off. The breaking point arrived when I overheard Derek on a call file the Riverside Park completion under municipal improvements. Same subs as last time. 20% back to the partnership. Elaine already signed. Power of attorney made forgery seamless. That evening at dinner, Marcus whined for new gaming gear. Derek instantly agreed. Pulling cash. Family first, right? Elaine, Mom nodded, hands trembling over her plate. I might stay longer, I announced. Meeting Derek's glare. Family first. Like you said.
His jaw tightened.
Space is limited. This isn't a hotel. Good thing it's still Mom's house too, I replied evenly. The silence confirmed his control extended beyond money to isolation and dependence. I created timelines from public records. Every project followed the blueprint. Competitive bid to Lang Civic Builders. Phantom subs. Mom's forged stakeholder signatures. Funds recycling. Her financial imprint covered everything, but she understood none of it. Derek announced a new memorial garden funded by the partnership. Your mother's generous contribution makes this possible. Mom looked confused. Her accounts showed no such withdrawal. But the fund had received $15,000 from a joint account. I offered to review the books as a donation. Derek refused sharply. The undercurrents thickened. I reached out to Lena and Agent Vance. Pieces aligned. But I needed Mom's clear consent and to secure evidence first. The phone incident was the detonation. Derek thought he was disciplining an unwelcome guest. He didn't know he'd assaulted a witness on an open line to a state investigator. After the slap, with Derek gone and police en route, Mom and I packed essentials. Claire's spare room smelled of safety. The protective order barred Derek from us and joint accounts. Lena confirmed. Recorded assault plus attempted intimidation accelerated everything. Agent Vance updated us. Patterns matched multi-county schemes. Search warrants executed at Lang Civic Builders and storage units. Marcus was questioned, already distancing himself. We spent days building the case at Claire's dining table. Color-coded folders. Red for forgeries, blue for phantom vendors, green for money trails. Lena photographed everything. Forged signatures compared poorly to Mom's authentic ones from cards and checks. Derek's rotary presentation on maximizing municipal partnerships was practically a how-to guide. Mom signed forms freezing accounts and granting me temporary power of attorney. Jonas, wait. Agent Vance, reported Trent. I mean Marcus. Cooperating for a deal. Revealing he'd cashed checks for phantom companies. Second set of books found in Marcus's gaming rig. Mom's question came heavy. How much did he take? Personal assets, over $350,000. Public funds, approaching $1.2 million. She closed her eyes. But Steele returned. I want him stopped from hurting others. I revealed emails coordinating bid rigging with contractors in neighboring counties. Lena's eyes lit. Potential RICO territory. The Winter Festival planning meeting approached. Derek was scheduled to present the budget. Despite orders, his ego might draw him there. We strategized. Let him start, then dismantle publicly. Word spread via local blogger posts about festival fund questions. The hall filled unusually. Derek stood confidently at the podium until spotting us. His mask slipped as he glossed over allocations. The local reporter pressed for specifics. I stood, voice clear. As a compliance specialist, I'm curious about vendor vetting. Valley Partners received 40,000, yet they don't exist in state databases. Whispers erupted. Derek fumbled.
Mayor intervened.
Agent Vance stood, badge visible, announcing the investigation thanks to a whistleblower, me. Lena detailed the elder abuse complaints and frozen accounts. Derek exploded toward us, violating the order. Police stepped in. The recorded slap played through my phone. Gasps filling the room. His reputation shattered in real time. The community hall became ground zero. Mayor cleared the agenda for Agent Vance's address. He outlined systematic fraud across counties. Forgery, racketeering. Testimonies poured out. Overcharged homeowners. Empty youth funds. Bid rigging victims. Derek stood deflated as unanimous votes terminated his contracts and ordered full audits. Officers arrested him on the spot for fraud, embezzlement, assault, obstruction. 3 weeks later, the full public hearing packed the hall with forensic accountants, federal investigators, and residents. I sat between Mom and Lena, facing the panel. Agent Vance called me to present findings. I walked through the 3 levels: shell companies invoicing ghost work, Mom's forged documents draining $347,000, commingling of public-private funds via the partnership. Charts showed arrows from Lang Civic Builders to phantoms to Derek's accounts. Gasps rippled. Objections from his lawyer were overruled. The U.S. attorney noted 17 federal counts pending. Mom stood, statement in hand. I trusted him with routine bills. He isolated me, made me doubt myself, drained my retirement, mortgaged our home, stole my late husband's insurance. These signatures were for groceries, not this. Derek protested. She signed everything. Mom countered firmly. You told me they were utilities while forging my name and controlling every penny. The audio played again, the slap. Threats. Winces across the room. Lena presented bank statements showing Derek's accounts swelling as Mom's dwindled, plus medical records of new anxiety meds coinciding with escalated abuse. I added the final blow, despite litigation holds. Security footage showed Derek directing evidence destruction at a storage unit 3 days prior, adding felony obstruction. Testimonies multiplied. Double-charged roofing. Unreturned investments, missing equipment funds. Derek's shoulders sagged under collective weight. The council voted unanimously for local charges. Contracts terminated. Boards vacated. Derek was arrested formally,
Cuffed.
and let out past hard stairs. In the following months, assets liquidated. Restitution ordered. Mom transformed, serving on a financial literacy board, starting survivor workshops. The community tightened controls. Mandated fraud training. At sentencing 6 months later in federal court, Derek appeared in orange, shackled. The prosecutor detailed $1.2 million defrauded publicly. $347,000 from Mom. Assault. Destruction of evidence, no remorse. Mom spoke first. Emotional abuse harder to quantify than financial loss. Victims followed. I addressed the court. He traded on family trust as camouflage. When I questioned him, he assaulted me to silence, failing only because law enforcement listened. Derek's statement was flat. Apologize for any harm, mistakes in judgment. The judge eviscerated it. Deliberate crimes. Not errors. Sentenced to 15 years total. Full restitution. Barred from fiduciary roles. As marshals led him away, Mom refused forgiveness. I forgive myself for trusting too long. Ask it from those you stole from.
Outside.
Victims hugged Mom. Now an advocate. Restitution flowed back. The house reclaimed felt lighter. Windows open. Furniture rearranged. Derek's empire crumbled completely. His house. Business. Awards, all liquidated under supervision. Marcus received probation for cooperation, relocating quietly. 3 more municipalities opened probes using our documentation template. Mom launched informal workshops at the community center, protecting your assets and autonomy. Attendees shared stories, spotting early signs of isolation and control. I returned to work stronger, my case methods now training material. The ripple effects included stricter municipal bidding, awareness campaigns, evenings on the porch, once Derek's domain. Mom and I reflected. The slap was meant to break me, I said. Instead, it freed us. She squeezed my hand. You refused silence. That changed everything. Neighbors brought casseroles. Stories of healing. The blogger series won awards, exposing systemic vulnerabilities. In the former office, my childhood bedroom restored, the desk gone, files emptied by agents. Transformation felt complete. Mom from victim to leader, community from trust to vigilance, me from observer to catalyst. Agent Vance messaged, additional investigations launched. Derek sat learning new rules in federal prison. Justice arrived thorough, slow but certain. Documentation trumped reputation. Control yielded to accountability. 6 months post-sentencing, the final civil recoveries closed. Mom's foundation grew, helping dozens recognize financial predators disguised as loved ones. Driving from the courthouse, she said,
Free.
Truly free for the first time in 9 years. We passed the community hall, site of Derek's public unraveling. The winter festival proceeded without his shadow, transparent budgets, real vendors. At home, we donated his plaques to a local history exhibit as cautionary tales. Stories hold power stronger than fear or reputation. As night fell, Mom slept peacefully in her reclaimed space. I stood in the quiet office, phone buzzing with Vance's update on new cases.
Cal, no.
Derek had taught leverage unintentionally, document relentlessly, verify over assume. Never let isolation masquerade as love. Drag corruption to light. It cannot survive there. The strongest power isn't domination, it's liberation. Derek controlled nothing now. Mom stood tall. I witnessed justice served cold in a town hall. Then courtroom finality. Somewhere in federal prison, an inmate once Derek Lang follows strict rules, contemplating the balance of trust and accountability over 15 long years. What would you do if family trust mask theft?
Speak up before the slap.
Or let documentation become the weapon? The choice echoes.